Welcome back to StillPoint Logic. This is episode 15, and today I'm going to start with something, and you might not understand, but go with me on this at the beginning and then everything will make sense. So I want to start with something that happens when spring knocks on our doors, and something happens in spring that nobody really pays attention to because it just naturally happens to all of us. And I'm not talking about the flowers or the longer days. We just leave our coat at home. So one day we leave home and the air is a little different. So we just take it off. You don't think about it too much. And it's not because you sat down and reflected about your relationship with the winter layers. It's just because you stepped outside, it was warm, and the coat became uncomfortable and then gone. We walk a little different, we feel lighter and looser. The boots also come off, like the heavy ones that kept us stable on ice, now actually make us sweat. So our body starts moving differently in spring. And it's not because we decided, now I'm going to start walking differently. It's just because some of the layers came off and everything is lighter, and that's it. So as spring pushes the winter away, I thought about what changes, because we talk a lot about wanting that same lightness on the inside, like in our thoughts. We want to try and shed these heavy thoughts and the layers and the patterns and all the things that bog us down. A lot of people try to explain how that actually happens, but here's a different point of view that I'm hoping might resonate with you. So everyone talks about what to shed. The self-help world says, let go, try to release it. You need to let go what no longer serves you, and you need to start fresh. So it treats thought shedding like a decision that you have to make. Like you can just choose to put down a thought pattern the way you hang up a coat. But you can't. And I've tried to do that many times. I do think that thinking about it, trying intentionally to release something is part of the process. But at the end of the day, when you think about the coat, you don't decide to stop wearing it in spring. You just stop wearing it because you will sweat. It became more uncomfortable to keep it on than to take it off. So that was the mechanism. It wasn't a decision to make. It wasn't some kind of releasing ceremony. It was just, okay, now the coat is making me uncomfortable, so it's coming off. That's logical shedding. I believe the reason so many of us are still carrying things we thought we had let go of is because we were told the mechanism was make the decision to let it go. Think about it a lot until you do. So we kept thinking and we kept deciding and thinking about our decision. And we tried really hard, but the code stayed on. I do think the intention is always there. We all want to feel good. Well, all of us. We want to feel good when we wake up. We want to feel good even when something that's making us feel uncomfortable is happening. We still strive to get out of that situation that's making us think negative thoughts and go back into a state where we do feel good about things. Like nobody's walking around choosing to carry negative and heavy thoughts out of stubbornness or laziness. And many of us add practice to the intention, me as well. We go to therapy, we journal, we do meditation, we read, we reflect. All of it is real and all of it is worthwhile. But here is what I think I've noticed. Practice leads to temporary change, and then we fall back. And it's not because the practice was wrong and not because we didn't try hard enough, but because the mechanism of lasting change is not only intention or practice. I think it is about discomfort. We shed things when Carrying them becomes more uncomfortable than letting them go, and not a moment before. The intention is always there, and the practice might also be there, but the shedding, the letting go of it, happens when the weight exceeds your threshold, when the coat makes you sweat. So I sat down, and when I wrote this episode, I tried to think about a good example to make my point better. And I tried to think, what was the thing that I really wanted and succeeded in letting go? And the one thing I know I did shed lately are some friendships and relationships that were bringing me down. And I also tried to let go of the self-blame about not being able to maintain these friendships enough. Like feeling that I owe people explanations for things. I let those go because they were unsustainable. They made me feel so guilty for things that weren't only mine. And eventually, my efforts became more exhausting and made me feel more uncomfortable than actually letting them go. So, like the coat that I take off when spring comes in, I let go of certain relationships and friendships. And I know many people talk about it. This is not a new concept or anything like that. But it was very, very hard. And it also felt like a personal failure of not being able to maintain these relationships. But at the same time, trying to have these people in my life made me feel more uncomfortable than actually in a good vibe. But it took a long time. It wasn't just cut and see you later, because mental shedding isn't like hanging up a coat. It's not one clear movement. And if we're still hanging on to the coat, sometimes you unbutton it. Sometimes you push the sleeves up, or sometimes, you throw it over your shoulder, or you hold it in your hand. And one day you notice you set it down. And there's a difference between that and just pushing through. Pushing through means you feel the discomfort, you're sweating, and you're ignoring it. So what do is you just normalize things. You're uncomfortable, something is making you feel bad, but you normalize it as, yes, this is normal, and you tell yourself this is just how it is. What I am trying to convey is that logical shedding means you feel the discomfort, you don't normalize it, and you stop. You ask, what is this? What thought pattern is underneath this discomfort right now? The opposite of trying to normalize it. That conscious question is where the shedding can begin. Let me try and show you how this looks like in practice, because I know naming thought patterns as a list is very easy, but working one through the logic is where we might start to really understand it more. And let's take this one. I'm just a stressed person. You've probably said it. I said it a million times, and you probably heard someone else say it, almost even being proud of being able to confess about themselves being a stressed person. And at some point, the stress, it stopped being a state you were in, and it became a part of your identity. So you stopped asking whether it had to be true. It just was. Like your eye color, like your height, you being stressed turned into a fact about yourself rather than a signal for you to wait a second, let's see what's going on here. And that's the thought pattern, which feels like common sense because somewhere along the way, it became the story. So step one is you have to notice what happened. You finish one thing and immediately move to the next, and your shoulders are tight, your neck really hurts, you keep popping in Advils to, relieve your headaches a little bit. You can't remember the last time you felt genuinely calm and didn't interpret it as something being wrong. You keep pushing through the week, waiting for the weekend recovery. Moving to step 2, this is where you need to find the thought underneath. You need to ask yourself, what story is running under that permanent state of stress? What am I telling myself? Is it, if I'm not stressed, I'm probably missing something? Is it, stress means I care, it means I'm taking this seriously? Is it, this is just what my life requires right now? Or is it, relaxed people don't get things done? That's the thought pattern. Stress is who I am, not what I am feeling. Moving forward to step 3. See the distorted belief. Stress has become an identity rather than a signal. And when stress is your identity, you stop asking what it's telling you and you stop looking for what's going on. You just go with it as if it's a part of you. So as proof that you are serious. And it's kind of like an evidence for you that you are working hard and that you are doing good. And this is how things are supposed to be. This is just the way things are. But stress is not a personality trait. It's a response. It's a response to a cause or something that is happening. It is not something that is part of your personality. Step 4, you have to think about the positive intention that you have, because this thought pattern didn't come from nowhere. The positive intentions behind the stress, they might be, is that you care a lot and you feel a great sense of responsibility. You really want things to go well. So your belief that your effort and your attention are connected. So if you are stressed, that one will produce the other. But here comes step 5, and that's where we try to see a bit of a more balanced perspective, which means stress is not my personality. It is a signal that something needs attention. I can care deeply and show up for people and be very responsible without making stress the proof of it. And going back to the quote, stress is not who I am, like the coat is not who you are. It's just what you've been wearing for so long that you forgot that you can take it off. This week, when you start to feel the stress crawling up your spine, instead of saying, okay, let's push through it, this is normal, you can actually ask yourself, what is this stress actually telling me now? And it's not who I am, it's what is this signal about? Let's try a little guided reflection. Close your eyes and come into this with me. So let's do it together now. Think of something you've been pushing through lately. It doesn't need to be a crisis or something very dramatic, just discomfort you've been normalizing. Maybe it's exhaustion you keep calling productivity. Maybe it's a relationship that feels more draining than it used to. Maybe it's a standard you hold yourself to. And maybe it's just the feeling that you have to finish everything before you can stop. Now ask yourself, what is the thought pattern under this feeling? If this discomfort had a sentence, what would it be? Is it something like, I must always be available. I cannot ask for help. If I slow down, something will fall apart. I have to earn this. And now you can ask, what is this distorted belief here? Is this all or nothing thinking? Is this conditional worth, making your value depend on your output? Is this pattern that was true once but no longer fits where you are today. And now we try to find a more balanced point of view and a more balanced intention. What does this pattern say about what you care about? Underneath, I must always be available, is care. Underneath, I cannot ask for help, is responsibility. Underneath, I have to earn my rest, is dedication. But now, offer a softer perspective. I'm not talking about a positive affirmation, it's just a more accurate sentence, something that keeps what matters without the cost. We're trying to leave the tension out of the equation. And here are a few examples. Instead of saying, I must always be available, you can also think, I can be caring and still have limits. So my availability does not define my value to people that I love. Instead of thinking, I cannot ask for help, you can say, asking for help is not a weakness. It is how capable people stay capable. And instead of, I have to earn my rest, rest is not a reward. It is how I stay functional for everything and everyone I care about. You don't have to solve it today. You don't have to take the coat off completely. But if you just notice that it makes you sweat, that might bring something different. I know it might feel like we went a bit sideways, so I want to bring us back to the focus. All these examples that I shared right now, and I know I've shared these examples before, the bottom line here is that when we are able to see the discomfort that it's causing us, the fact that you always have to be there, that you can't ask for help, if you start seeing the true discomfort that it's causing in your life, that can be the pivoting point. So what does logical shedding look like in daily life? And this is how I'm defining it, so listen carefully. Logical shedding is a conscious attention to what is making you uncomfortable that you've been calling normal. Because at some point, we think that being a little stressed is normal, a little tired is normal. So I'm going to repeat it again. Logical shedding is the conscious attention to what is making you uncomfortable that you've been calling normal. In real life, it looks like a shift in attention. When you feel something, a low level of discomfort, so you feel unease, but you don't actually know how to describe it in words, what you usually is you push past it because it's not life-threatening. What you should start doing in some cases is not push through it. And you have to ask yourself, what thought pattern is making me feel this way right now? That's logical shedding. Your answer there is logical shedding. And here we are at the end of this episode, and I want us to circle back and understand from what we talked about at the beginning. Spring doesn't negotiate with winter. It just gets warmer, it pushes winter out, but then the coat becomes impractical and then unnecessary, so you leave it at home. The thoughts you have work the same way. I don't think you can negotiate them out. But when the discomfort gets high enough, you start to figure out which thought is causing it. And then when you understand something logically, then there is no other option but to let it go. So this spring, ask yourself, what am I still pushing through that I've been calling normal? I want to share one more thing before we part. This is actually the last episode of season 1. When I started this show, I wasn't sure what it would become. I had a general idea. I enjoy writing and reflecting a lot. I read a lot of philosophy, and I've always wanted to share my thoughts with other people in the hopes that it might make you feel better. Now 15 episodes in, I still enjoy writing. It is some sort of therapy for me, and I hope that it is also helping you. I hope I created a space where we mostly me and you listen, but we do reflect about things together, even without talking to each other. And I want to thank you for being here. Whether you found this show at episode 1 or somewhere along the way, I'm happy you joined me, and I'm grateful for this time that we take together. Season 2 is coming. I already have ideas and new episodes that I wrote. I'm just revisiting them again, so I feel very good before I record them. I would be also very, very happy to know what kind of things you would like me to try and reflect on. What are some things that you've been struggling to define, some kind of feelings or thought patterns or things that are making you feel bad? And maybe I can go down the road with my kind of thinking and we can talk about these things together. So stay tuned. New episodes are coming. Shoot me messages with things you would like us to reflect about. And until then, as always, take care of yourself and tell yourself the good story. If you enjoyed this episode and found it eye-opening, please share it with someone you think that might feel better after listening to it. And it's not to promote the show. It's just because sometimes the right words at the right moment make someone feel a little less alone. And if you want to hear more, please subscribe. It's a simple way to show your support, and it means everything to a small independent show like this one. Thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. The reflections in this podcast are inspired by logic-based therapy, a philosophical counseling model developed by Dr. Elliot D. Cohen. I'm a certified logic-based therapy consultant, and what I share here is my own perspective on its principles. This podcast is meant for reflection and learning and isn't a substitute for professional mental health. Take care, and I'll see you next time at your StillPoint.